Hello once again, it's Jim Faulkner, and this is the third of 3 videos talking about the employee tracker application uh, with uh, with the UNC Coding Bootcamp in Chapel Hill. We've already taken a look at what the application does in general, how the view functions work, how the add functions work. So last thing we're going to take a look at here tonight is how the modify functions work. So first we'll take a look at everything on the user's end. So last thing we would like to do is modify. So what do we want to do here? Let's change an employee's manager, right? So first we're going to select the employee whose manager we want to change. Let's just say, since we just added Pam in the last video, we know we had her manager as Michael. So let's change Pam's manager from Michael to Daryl. All right. And then the second thing that we're able to do, very similar functionality, is we're able to change an employee's role. So let's say that Stanley decides he would like to work in the back and be a dock worker instead. We would change his role there. All right. And that's really all there is to it on the user end of those functions. So now let's take a look at the code behind it. So just like previously, we started with the first question, do you want to add, view, or modify? After that, since we select modify, it takes us to this function modify what, and gives us a choice to either modify the role or modify the manager. And of course, this is built in as we add functionality to this. And if we want to modify other things, it can very easily be plugged into this. And then the two different actions that we can take there, the code behind them is really, really similar. So first, we're going to take a look at modifying the role. So here is where we asked which employee's role you're going to be changing. And just like in previous questions, the choice is there. We're just returning an array of all the first and last names and the IDs of the employee. In case you haven't noticed by now, the employee ID is really how we make all of this work. It doesn't say that Pam Beasley's role is office manager. It says that her role ID is role number 00006, for instance. However, just having a bunch of numbers as choices isn't really the most user-friendly thing. So we get the role IDs on the screen. You probably noticed that on the command prompt, but here, when we define this constant changing employee in this scenario, as well as when we were adding, there were a couple of examples of this as well. We're basically just making sure that we're turning it to a number and then erasing all of the text from that selection, except for the first 5 numbers, which is always going to constitute whether it's the employee ID or role ID or whatever it might be. So it just keeps things looking a little bit better. So now that we've selected which employee whose role we're going to change, next thing we're going to do is we're going to select their actual role. So here is where we're populating a list of what the new roles are going to look like. And then after that, we are simply doing something really, really similar here, where we just put that role down to an ID, and then we're updating employee role ID, and we've got the new role and employee that we've previously defined that's getting pushed in there. And that's how that works. And honestly, it's exactly the same thing when we're modifying a manager, right? Exactly the same logic. It's just that instead of selecting a list of roles to be changed, it's going to be selecting a list of managers that we're going to change to that employee's direct leader. So that's really all there is to that. I won't dive into that one line by line because it operates exactly like the last one, but that way you at least know how it works. And that's it for this assignment and for this video. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.